Welcome to this week's San Jose State University Football News Conference. Today is November the 4th. The Spartans are getting ready for this Saturday's game, November the 9th, against the University of Hawaii. The game will be covered here locally on the radio site, KKSF, Real Talk 910 AM. For those of you who would like to see a stream will be available courtesy of Facebook. Game time locally in the Pacific time zone will be 8 p.m., 7:30 for the pregame show on the radio with Justin Allegre and Kevin Richardson. The two teams that have been playing football since 1935 are going to be playing for the Dick Tomey Legacy Trophy in honor of a great coach who coached at both schools. So now we will call in San Jose State, the head coach, man who knew Dick Tomey very, very well. San Jose State's Brent Brennan.
Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you for being here. If it was up to me, I would turn this thing over to either Lawrence Fan or Mark Purdy. I bet they could both give us an idea about what's going on. Well, Saturday night, what a great night in CEFCU Stadium. It didn't end the way we wanted it to, but in terms of the fans and the vibe and the band and the cheerleaders, there was just a really great crowd. It was a lot of fun. It felt like real college football. Obviously, Boise has a fantastic team, so credit to Coach Harsin and that staff. They continue to do things the right way and put a really, really good product on the field. Just tremendous respect for them. And at the same time, I thought our team played hard. I thought they played well. I thought there were lots of opportunities in there for us to find a way to win it, and we did not, which is disappointing. But proud of their effort. I'm excited about where we've come from and where we're headed. And I think that game is something that we can look to and build on in terms of things we did well, and then kind of what we needed to fix in some of the moments of that game. Shifting gears to Hawaii, I think as a coach you have you coach so many games. I don't know how many I've coached in my life, but there's certain games that you remember that stick with you forever. And San Jose State versus Hawaii game seemed to be that for me. I don't know that I will ever get over our 5 overtime loss against Hawaii a year ago. That one still hurts, but it was also such an epic battle of everybody trying so hard, and it was just a really cool thing. I love the fact that the Tomey Legacy Trophy is part of this game. Actually, that came from a conversation between Coach Rolovich and I. I've known Nick a long time. I don't know that I've ever called him Coach Rolovich or Nick. He's Rolo to anyone that knows him, but he's a fantastic coach, and he's done a really great job with that program. It's fun to see what they've done in his time there, and so I think we'll be excited for another tough game. I think I just got off the phone with somebody talking about the Mountain West Conference. I think the conference is really, really good, and I think everybody can play. And so this is another battle. We're going over to the Rock, and going to slug it out with Hawaii like we always do. Good, how are you?
So I guess, Hawaii, they average 37 points per game. They're 16th in the country. I mean, can you just go a little bit into about kind of your plan in terms of containing the offense?
Well, I think there's a couple things that you got to be ready for. I think Cole is an awesome player. Their quarterback, he does a great job. And then Cordero's really good too, right? So they do this thing. It's almost like, at times they play the hot hand. And both of them can hurt you, both running and throwing. They're both fantastic athletes. I don't know if you guys saw the end of the Fresno game, but it was Cordero's legs at the end that, got him into that position to tie the game, which was just really impressive. So, and then they also, schematically, what they do is a little bit different. They do a great job of understanding that. There's few people that understand run and shoot principles like Nick Rolovich does and his staff, and so they do a great job of distributing the ball. Cedric Bird has lit everybody up all season that they played against. I remember Cedric coming out of high school and then the JC. He's a great player. It's fun to see him having the success he's having. So it's going to be – and then, defensively they got a bunch of good players and they're well coached. We know a bunch of those guys. So, the two staffs know each other really well. In our 2 years going head-to-head, we've had really competitive games. And so, I think we'll be excited to get going.
Hey, Coach. How you doing?
I'm good.
Good. So you mentioned you watched tape. You've been watching tape on this team. You just saw them last year in the 5 overtime loss. So what do you expect to be the biggest struggle from their side? You mentioned the quarterback's running the ball and stuff like that.
Well, I think one of the things that they've done the last few years there is that they've learned how to win consistently, and that's something that's really impressive to me. And if you look at our game Saturday night, that's one of those things we got to get over the hump on, against good teams. We had a chance against San Diego State, didn't get it done. Had a chance against Boise, didn't get it done. And two really good football teams. And so that's the thing Hawaii has done. Right? They found a way to win some of those big games against good opponents. They present a host of issues, both offensively and defensively. We're kind of in the early phase of putting that game plan together yesterday and today. We have practice tomorrow. So, I just hope that we will take the step like we did last week in our preparation. I thought our preparation last week was awesome. And the score wasn't what we wanted it to be at the end, but the way the kids came to work and the way the staff came to work was really, really great.
Hey, Coach. The last couple of weeks, if anything's telling from actually last year's 5 overtime game against Hawaii, it's going to be kind of a shootout. How's your confidence grown, the offense, to keep up with these shootout games, scoring in the 40s and the 50s the past couple of weeks?
Well, I think the Coach McGiven and Coach Gunnarsson and the rest of the offensive staff have done a great job with Josh and getting him ready to see what he's going to see and be able to execute at a high level. I think the offense, their confidence is growing as they play. Going against a team like Boise and having the kind of night they did, I think they should feel good about when they do things the right way, when they execute with detail and a high level of effort. We have a chance to have really good offensive production. So, that's something you always got to handle when you play against Hawaii, just because that they're going to score points given what they do. So, but I think we'll have a great plan. I think our players will be ready to play. I think, Josh continues to prove that he's a really good player and a really good leader for our football team.
Coach, we're going to go to the phone and take a question from the 6-time Hawaii Sports Writer of the Year, Mr. Stephen Tsai. Stephen, one question for Coach.
Hi, Travis. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Stephen. How are you?
Okay, but that wasn't my only question. I only get one question. I was just kind of wondering, with the previous 2 years when you had to go through those growing pains to get to this year, how were you able to keep the vision alive for the players? Show that there's good times going to be ahead.
I think it had a lot more to do with the players than it had to do with me. The players are the ones that were willing to continue to keep working and keep progressing. I think that's the hardest thing. In our first 2 years, there were some stretches where we strung, losses back to back to back, and the biggest challenge in those moments is how do you prepare? Are you willing to practice? Are you willing to do the work so that you can get better? And I thought, last year those captains in that senior class did a great job of keeping our team engaged, holding each other accountable, and pushing it forward. And so I think that's the old statement that work works. I think that's real for us.
Coach, so obviously the Boise loss, was a tough one, but what have you and the rest of the team kind of been able to take away from that game, considering they were a ranked opponent moving forward?
I think for our players, there was not any satisfaction in being close, which I think is good, right? They weren't like, oh yeah, we almost did it. There was not that feel. It was heartbreak. It was devastating in that locker room after the game. And, to me, that's a sign that we're moving in the right direction, where there are no moral victories. We don't get to feel good just because we played a good team close. It's not what we're trying to do here. So I think that's the step that I feel good about.
I was just going to ask you to share one of your favorite Dick Tomey memories. I know I have mine.
Okay. I got lots of them. But yeah,
Well,
good.
I remember Dick once told me he liked to go to movies and sing along to movies,
Yeah.
which I never had a football coach say that to me. Like Mamma Mia was one of his favorites. Big on Mamma
yeah.
Mia, and he
Les
would sing
Mis.
along. Yeah. But is there one or two stories about Dick that you like to tell?
Probably my favorite story happened when we played Hawaii 2 years ago. I don't know if it's my favorite, but I don't know if you remember, but we had a ridiculous penalty that at the end of a kickoff return for a touchdown. Kickoff return for a touchdown put us down 4. There was some time left. There was probably like 6 or 7 minutes left in the game, and so we decided to go for 2. But these 2 players on our team went down the field, and they did like an excessive celebration, and they went and they threw the flags, and so then we got backed up, and then the PAT got blocked and returned. So it was, now we went from being down 4 to being down 6, and it was really just a crippling thing for our team. Like, you just watched our energy just bottom out. And Coach Tomey has this saying, you're either coaching it or allowing it to happen. And that was his thing. And so after the game, I was meeting with the media. You all have been there many times. And I'm standing there in the tunnels behind me. And I'm talking to the media, and I can see Coach Tomey 50 yards out. And he's walking with this lean, and he's angry. And I know what's coming. And so I'm trying to finish up with the media there at Aloha Stadium. And I'm like, hurry up, answering questions. And then now he's like 15 yards away, and I start backpedaling. And I get in the tunnel, because I don't want everybody to see what's coming, right? So I get into the tunnel, and he says to me, I'm not going to tell you the exact words, but they were not great. Something along the lines are, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And I said, "Coach, I know, I'm sorry. It's embarrassing, the penalty, right?" And he goes, "You don't need to go and apologize to me. You need to walk your ass in there and apologize to those kids, because you're either coaching it or allowing it to happen. And that penalty happened because you allowed it to happen." And it was an awesome moment for me. But it was funny because I could feel him, I could feel the thunder. But he was always teaching. Didn't matter how old or how far away from the game he got. He was always coaching, always teaching.
Tell us what the atmosphere is like in Hawaii, just traveling out there and the whole experience for you guys.
Gosh, I've coached a lot of games there, and it's definitely an interesting deal, because I think there's just that natural tendency when a team gets off the plane in Hawaii to be like, "Oh, we're in Hawaii," Like, yeah, but we're not on vacation, right? It's a way different thing. So, but I played in front of really rowdy crowds at Aloha Stadium. Their fans are really, really passionate. That's the flagship over there, right? Is Rainbow Warrior football. So, I'm sure there'll be a good crowd out. I think there's going to be a lot of fun tied to the Tomey Legacy Trophy. Coach Tomey still has an incredible name and a really special legacy out there on the island. So, I'm hopeful that brings a lot of people to the game, and people are excited about seeing us, play it out.
Let's see if Stephen Sy has another question for you, Coach.
Hey, Coach. It seems like you and Rolovich have a pretty good friendship going. What do you learn from each other? What things or what kind of things have you picked up from each other, or just the conversations or actions?
Yeah, Nick's been a good friend for a long time. Our families are friends. It started years ago. We were both assistant coaches, and he was kind of breaking in. And when we would recruit, we kind of travel around together or talk. But since then, it's obviously grown to a lot more. He's been a great sounding board for me. He got into the head coaching deal a year before I did. And he's just been really fun to talk to about we talk about everything, how we practice, what we're doing with our players, how do we feed our players. There's a lot of football. As you guys know, Nick's one of the more enjoyable human beings on the planet. Just a great personality and a lot of fun. So, that's always kind of fun to be around. And in the summertime, we try and get our families together, because he's got family here, in Northern California. So, we spent some time up at the lake jumping off the dock and hanging out. So it's been a really cool friendship that I really respect him as a ball coach, but I like him even more as a friend.
You guys are 2 wins away from being bowl eligible. How much does the team focus on that, if at all, or do you guys talk about that in the locker room?
We were 2 wins away last week too. So I think for us it's more about we get to play one game this week. How are we going to get ready for this game? And so that's really been our focus week in and week out. Is just like, this is the most important game of the year because it's the only game we get to play this week.
Coach, we'll see if Stephen Tsai has a final question to wrap us up today.
Well, we always talk about your time in Hawaii as a GA. What was that like, being a guy who didn't have a lot of money, young, and coaching some guys who are up and coming guys in Jacksonville? What was your time like in Hawaii?
My GA time in Hawaii, it was a great experience. I was working for Fred Von Oppen. We had a really hard season, and then at the end of it, we got terminated. So it was welcome to college football as my first job. But it was a great experience. I was fortunate because the way the staff was configured, I got to coach the receivers as a graduate assistant, and had some really great young men to coach. Aleo Kane and Dwight Carter. Ashley Lilly was a freshman, and we redshirted him because he was skinny as a stick and not quite ready to play. He obviously turned out pretty good, but just loved our time over there. My wife and I were dating then, and we were around some really good football coaches, some really good people, and so our connection to Hawaii goes back a long time.
What did you get to do? Did you get to have a favorite place to eat or favorite thing to do while you were?
Favorite place to eat? I'm actually pretty heavy. Any kind of plate lunch I can find. So Rainbows is good for me. Spent a little bit of time at Duke's on Sunday with a little cupono and a little music and sunshine, and every now and then hung out with Murph downtown. So had a great experience there, and continue to do that every time I get back. I love Hawaii. Thank you all.
And that'll do it for this week. A reminder, Saturday's football game against the University of Hawaii is at 6 o'clock Hawaiian time, 8 o'clock local time in the Pacific time zone. You can catch it on Facebook or listen on KKSF. There will be no press conference on November 11th. We will see you back here Monday, November 18th. Thank you.